Humish and Rashi, Torah portion, Chukas. We are in the second reading. Let's get right into it. Continuing with the laws of the red heifer, of those that become impure because of coming in contact with a corpse. Okay, now we're speaking about how you become purified. We continue actually the discussion. And you should take a hyssop. Hyssop is a hyssop, a tavel b'mayim, and dip it into water. The water, ish tahar, the water from. Um, this is the mixture actually of water, and that is being used for bringing the purification. Ish tahar, a pure person should dip it. Right. Vihiza al ayhel, and he should dash it towards the tent, on the tent, al kol kelim, and on all of the vessels, al nefashes. So this is also, this is making reference to implements, vessels, things that got also impure. So they too need to be purified. Al nefashes, and on people, asher hayu sham, that were there, ala negeya be'etzem, anyone who touched a bone, or b'chalal, or a slain person from a battle, or b'meis, or a corpse, or b'kaver, is it cover or kever? The cover, yeah, or on a grave, right? So any of those instances, Behiza ta'ar ala tameh, and the pure person should sprinkle on the impure person b'yom hashlishi on the third day, b'yom hashvi, and on the seventh day. V'chita b'yom hashvi, and he will be cleansed, purified on the seventh day. V'chibeis begadav, and he shall immerse his clothing, barachas b'mayim, and be and immerse in water. V'tahar ba'erev, and he will become pure at nightfall. Rashi v'chita b'yom hashvi, and he will become purified on the seventh day, because that's the end of the purification process, the seventh day. Okay, text number 20. The ish asher yitma v'lo yischata, and a person who will become impure, right, in one of the ways that we mentioned, v'lo yischata, and he does not purify himself, cleanse himself, and nichrasa, he will be cut off, nefesh, that soul, from the congregation, from the people. He is mikdash Hashem time, because the sanctuary of God he is impurified. May nida loizak olav, for the may nida, the waters of cleansing or of purification were not dashed upon him. Tamehu, and he remains ritually impure. Rashi, Isha Sher Yitma, a person becomes impure, Im Nemar Mikdash, if sanctuary has been said, Lama Nemar Mishkan Kuloi, then why is the Mishkan, the word Mishkan, tabernacle, been said? Kedisa Bishvuas, as explained in Shvuas. In other words, why do you, we had earlier in verse 13 that it said there, here in our verse, in verse 20, what is it saying? It says mikdash, sanctuary. In verse 13, it said mishkan. So in the tractate Shvuas, it says that we need both of them, because if you only had one or the other, you wouldn't learn it out. Why Rashi brings that and doesn't explain it? Good question. And it will be for them a chukas olam, a statutory law of eternally. Mazeh me hanida, anyone who sprinkles from the waters of. Interesting. Water of sprinkling. So it'll be Yichabes Bigadov. So the person who is now doing the sprinkling, he has to immerse his clothes. And the one who touches the dashing water remains richly impure until nightfall. Rashi in 21. The one who sprinkles the water of sprinkling. Rabbi Zeno, so our sage have said, the one who sprinkled had to be pure, right? That's what we actually said in verse 19. And this comes in to teach you, is the one who carries the waters of purification. Tamei tumas chamura becomes impure with a severe impurity. The tamei begadim sha'ala that makes his clothes become even impure, that they need to be immersed. Which is not the case of one who touches the waters. Because here it's speaking about the one who touches the water becomes impure. That the fact that the Torah tells us over here expresses the word through mazeh, the one who sprinkles, that is tell you that the waters do not transmit impurity to the one who carries them until they have the quantity enough to sprinkle. So
minimum quantity consider it carrying.
What?
There's a minimum quantity.
Exactly. Right. A minimum quantity to carry. Right. So so the one who touches it, he has to, the one who carries it does not have to, one second. Shanese, chamura, right? The one who carries it has to, his clothes become impure. That's what our verse is telling us. As opposed to the one who touches it. How do we get over here that he's carrying it? I'm not clear on that.
And whoever sprinkles it. So he's carrying it, he's the one who's sprinkling it.
So what does it mean the one who touches it doesn't have to wash his hands, wash his clothes, immerse his clothes?
I guess somebody, but some was dropped on him or something, or he touched the liquid.
It's just, it's because of it.
Evidently, Rashi is considering sprinkling, the one who's sprinkling is the one who's carrying.
The one who's sprinkling is the one who touches, no?
No, there's one, no,
Hmm?
somebody else. He says, and the reason one who carries water is referred to as the one who dashes, to tell you, the water doesn't render impure unless enough to dash. The one who carries is referred to the one who dashes, the one who sprinkles.
Anyone touching the same thing.
Again, about Yitma, Ainton Kibbutz Begodim. Right, okay, so it's broken up the verse into two parts. The first part is talking about the one who carries it. And then Adegeya b'meinida yitmadarev, he's impure, meaning the person himself, the one who touches, and he doesn't need the clothing to be immersed. Just himself, he's impure.
A lower level of impurity.
Right. So the one that's, so what does it mean someone who touches? What's he touching? How's he?
Like a drop landed on him. Touches.
Aha, right, okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have the person that's carrying it and sprinkling. He is impure and also his clothing. The one who it might be touched, that drops on him, so he's only himself is impure till the evening. Okay.
So the touching refers to someone
Put his finger
who
in.
received.
No, I don't think it, because you can't put you're not putting your finger in there. I don't think so.
Okay, whatever.
I think it's like you said, I think it's dropped on it. I think there's drops.
This is drop is by accident or it's
Yeah.
deliberate.
It's not specifying, so it could be either one.
Because look, when he puts the stalks in, right, it's full of water. Now he takes it out, it might drip on somebody. That who it drips on becomes impure himself, right? The one who actually took it, he becomes impure, and what he carried it, and his clothing also. Okay, 22. Chol asher yiga bai, atami yitman, whoever the impure person touches it will become impure. And the one who touches it will be impure until the evening, till nightfall. Okay, what is this adding over here? Not clear. Let's see Rashi. Anyone who's impure, one shall touch, meaning anyone touched by this impure one. Okay, got it. Sometimes you just got to read it properly. Let's say I'm impure and I touch somebody, right? That person I touch, because I came in contact with a corpse, right? I was in the oil yesterday, right? There's a lot of corpse over there, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, if you put your hand, you don't have to touch it. If you're in the, you put your hand over a grave. That's right. That was a previous verse that we had, grave, right? So you become impure, right? Stand on a grave, for example, and put your hand over a grave. So you're impure. So now that person touched another person. That's what we're talking about here, right? So it became impure with the corpse. Yidma shall be impure. That person he touches becomes impure. And the person who touches, boy, and one who's impure because of coming in contact with the corpse. So he becomes impure until the evening. From here we learn that a corpse is the most intense primary source of impurity. And one who touches it, he becomes himself a source of impurity. It transmits impurity to another person. Right? And this is the explanation of the verse concerning the red heifer. The fi mashma. One second. Yeah, in accordance to the way it sounds, and its laws, and Midrash Haggadah, Hitakti, but the Midrashic explanation. In other words, what we learned till now was the simple meaning. The Midrashic explanation, he said in Shemoshe Darshan, is according to Moshe the Darshan, is as follows. Okay, now he's going to give a non-literal explanation. Why he's doing this? It's obviously a good question. V'yichvei lecha, and you shall take to you mishalehem from their own. Kishem she'ein baruku nizmi azov. Just as they remove golden rings, le'egel for the golden calf mishalehem of their own. Kach yaviuzu. Likewise, you have to bring this. Remember, this is a golden calf, right? This, I mean, because of the golden calf, that's how they became. This is bringing atonement. So now they have to bring of their own, just like they brought their own gold. So they should bring the kapara mishalehem of their own. So that's why the red heifer has to come. It says, "Yichvei lecha." They're going to give to you, Moshe. Meaning, Moshe, it's not your possessions that you bring the red heifer. It has to be from the people. Just as from the people, they gave their own gold for the golden calf. Paraduma, a red cow. Moshe ben Shivcha. This can be married to the son of a maidservant. Shenitina Paltan Shalmela, that he soiled the palace of the king. Right, he got a dirty diaper. Amru Tavayimai, let his mother come. Right, they said in the palace. And wipe away the excrement. So let this cow come, and atone for the calf. This is like the mother coming. Interesting metaphor. Aduma, red. Why is it red? Al shame that if your sins will be red as a scarlet dye, which teaches us that sin is called red. That's the way it's referred to in the Torah. Right? And where does sin come from? The animal soul. What does the animal soul give vitality to? Where's the animal soul found? In the blood of the person. That's red. That caused the sin. Tamima, perfect. In other words, it has to be perfectly red. Al Shem Israel, because that's symbolic of Israel. Shahoyu Tamima, that they were perfect. But now, now they became blemished because of the golden calf. Okay. So this red cow should come. There's a chaper aleihem and to bring atonement for them. The should return them to their perfection. Oil has to be that it has no that it never had upon it a yoke. Just as the Jewish people took upon themselves off the Ol Shamayim, the yoke of heaven. To Lazar the Kain, Geshem Sheni called all Arain, just they gathered around Arain, Shu Kain, that he was a Kain Lasis Egel, and who made the calf. Lefish Aaron also is Egel, because Aaron made the calf, even though he did it for the sake of heaven, right, to hold them off. So this performance of this mitzvah was not given to him. Because the prosecutor cannot become the defense counsel, right? Huh? Because he was the prosecutor. He brought prosecution against the Jewish people because he was involved in the golden calf. Right now, he's going to be the defense attorney to save them through the red heifer. He can't. So he can't be, right? Is that clear? Right. That meant he was a prosecutor. Because he brought accusation upon the Jewish people in the end. Even though he did it l'shem shamayim, but the fact is that through his hands, and that's what Rashi says, al yadai, through his hands, right? Not his kavana, his hands. In fact, he was part of making the golden calf, so he cannot now be part of bringing the atonement of that. Sarav Zapara, and you shall burn the cow. Huh?
Through his action, he brought accusation.
Exactly.
Because the English translation doesn't
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Kishem shenisrafai egel, just as the gold, as the calf was burned, right? What did Moshe do? He burnt the calf, right? So this also has to be burnt. That's how it's going to bring the atonement. Eight days of Ishnei Solas, and you have to bring a cedar wood, hyssop, and a crimson tongue of wool. Shleisha minim halalu. Why these three things? Keneged Shleisha alfei Israel, because this is corresponding to 3,000 men shenaflu be'egel that fell because of the golden calf. The erez hu gavaya mikola ilanas. Cedar is the tallest of all trees. The ezav namach mikulam, and the hyssop is the lowest of all of them. Simin, this is this is a sign, meaning the burning of them together with the crimson wool. It's a sign shegavaya, the haughty one, is go'eh bechata, he acted pridefully in sin. Yashvil l'satzmo, he should lower himself ke'ezov, like a hyssop, b'seilas, like a worm. He's kaper loy, and he will be atoned for it. Right, chapter 30 in Tanya, or 29 in Tanya, remember, quoting from, I think it was King David that said, Tehillim, Selas ani, that I'm like a worm. In other words, bringing out the humility. The mishmeres, it needs to be for safekeeping. Says Rashi, just as we transgressed with the golden calf, Shomer Ladayus, it was kept for generation, the Puranis for punishment. Because you have no settling of accounts. That does not have the account of the calf. As it says, on the day that I will make an accounting, I shall bring their sin in account against them. Just as the golden calf, mitama renders impure, all those who deal with it. Kaf paraduma, so likewise the para, the cow, will render impure. All those who deal with it. Just as the Jewish people were purified by the golden calf by its ashes, right? It became ashes. And Emma, as it says, that they threw it upon the water. So likewise, that's right. For Sapara, they shall take for the impure person some of the ashes and burning the purification to bring purification from this animal. Wow. Amazing. Okay. Chapter 20, verse 1. Yavo, I mean, and they came, the Bnei Israel, Kol Eda, the entire congregation, Midbar from the to the desert scene, in the first month, and they dwelt there, the nation in Kadesh. B'tamaz Sham Miriam, and Miriam died there. V'tikaver Sham, and she was buried there. Rashi, Kol Eda, the entire assembly, Eda Shlema, whole assembly, Shekvar Mesim, called Mesim Midbar. Why? What does it mean the whole? Because all those that were to die in the desert, right, because of the sin, this is in the 40th year now, by the way. Right? We now made the transfer. I think it's at this point. I don't know if this law is also, I don't think so. What we learned previously, I'm not certain. But now we're in the 40th year. The first month, Nisan. Guess what? There's 11 months, 10 days, 7 days left to Moshe's life. Interesting. So they all came there, and all of these now will be set apart for life. The Tamash Miriam died there. Lama Nisa Miriam. Why is Miriam's death juxtaposed at Parshas Paraduma to the passage of the red cow? This is to tell you, my carbonis mechapin just as offerings atone, and the red heifer is an offering. Yeah, Mises the tzaddikim mechaper. So likewise, the death of the righteous atone. She's a righteous person, and her death brings atonement to the people. The Talmud Miriam, and Miriam died there. Another explanation. Afi ben Misa. She too had the kiss of death. So why doesn't it say that she died by the mouth of God? If she had this unique passing, as it's interesting, Afi, she too. Why she too? Doesn't make sense. She's the first one. Aaron only passes away later in the parsha. She passed away first. So why would it be? Because it's not speaking respectfully. Yeah, by Aaron it says that by Aaron it says by the mouth of God, in the beginning about the Maseh.
Where do you get the two from?
Hmm?
When you say she too, what I'm referring to?
Af. So because she died the kiss of death from heaven, right? What's also like Aaron did. That's what he gives the example, right? By Aaron says, Al Pi Hashem. Right? Hashem gave him a kiss of death. She also died that way. In other words, she just lied down and passed away peacefully, right? Why doesn't it say that? Because it's not appropriate, for a woman to speak in such a way. It's not modest, in other words. Okay, I would love to continue. We only have a little bit. 1 second, let's see. Yeah, you know what? We could do it. Okay, we'll come late to Tanya. Mahaya. So she passed away. Guess what? Now there wasn't water to the congregation for the assembly. And they assembled against Moshe and Aaron. From here we learn that the entire 40 years, that the water, the well of water that went with him was in the honor and the merit of Miriam, because now she passed away and there wasn't. Right, that's the juxtaposition. And they argued the nation with Moshe, and they said, Lamor saying, if we only had expired the way our brothers expired before God. Rashi, verse 3, so be it that we should have perished. So be it that we should have perished. As our brothers did. Is the breath of our brothers, but never with a plague. Because the death of thirst, is uglier than than of a plague. It's a noun that means their brothers died. Okay, some grammar. Why did you bring the congregation of God to this desert, Lomas to die there? Us and our cattle and our animals. Why did you bring us from Egypt? To bring us to the place, this terrible, bad place. It's not a place of seeds, and of fig trees, geffen and grapevine, and pomegranates, mayim and water, and lishtes is no water to drink. And he came, Moshe and Aaron, but it's singular. Because of the assembly, to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and they fell on their face once again, and God's appeared to them. And you have to wait till tomorrow to see what happened with that. All right? I'm sure you're going to be at the edge of your seat, and you will be here tomorrow.